whispers, and true to my name, I've been having a little bit of whiskey this afternoon. It's happy hour here, and I thought I'd break out the Macallan, so I had a little bit of scotch, and just one drink, and then a little bit of the Jameson. And now I know a lot of people will tell you that it's not great to mix different kinds of whiskeys, but I'm a big fan of the Scotch, followed by the Irish. So, as you might imagine, I am feeling a little bit tipsy. And what better to do when you're tipsy than come on and create a little bit of a YouTube video. I thought this would be a great time to read a couple of poems by some poets that I like very much, but who happen to have been no stranger to the bottle, and who have had nihilistic streaks. The first is Sylvia Plath, most famous for the book she wrote entitled The Bell Jar. And the second is Charles Bukowski. And I want to be very clear about Bukowski, because Bukowski was not a nice man. I mean, in fact, if you kind of look at the kind of man he was and the way he lived his life, he's probably one of the most, one of the top 5 most repellent human beings to ever walk the earth. He drank, he smoked, he abused pretty much everyone in his life, including himself. And he was more or less a completely despicable human being. He's probably the closest thing we have in America to a genuine nihilist writer. Now, Sylvia Plath, on the other hand, was someone who was plagued by a sense of impending darkness and depression throughout her life. But at the same time, she was able to create or craft words in such a way that the darkness took on a true beauty of its own. So today I'm going to read a poem by each of those poets. And the first I'm going to read is the poem Are You Drinking by Charles Bukowski. And the next poem I'm going to read is Edge by Sylvia Plath. And depending on how much time I have at the end of the reading, I might do a little bit of a ramble, because I'm just in that kind of a mood. But here we go. Are You Drinking by Charles Bukowski. Washed up on shore, the old yellow notebook out again. I write from the bed as I did last year. We'll see the doctor Monday. Yes, doctor. Weak legs, vertigo, headaches, and my back hurts. Are you drinking? He will ask. Are you getting your exercise, your vitamins? I think that I am just ill with life, the same stale yet fluctuating factors. Even at the track, I watch the horses run by, and it seems meaningless. I leave early after buying tickets on the remaining races. Taking off, asks the motel clerk. Yes, it's boring, I tell him. If you think it's boring out there, he tells me, you ought to be back here. So here I am, propped up against my pillows again, just an old guy, just an old writer with a yellow notebook. Something is walking across the floor toward me. Oh, it's just the cat, this time. And here is the poem Edge by Sylvia Plath. Edge. The woman is perfected. Her dead body wears the smile of accomplishment. The illusion of a Greek necessity flows in the scrolls of her toga. Her bare feet seem to be saying, "We have come so far, it is over." Each dead child coiled a white serpent, one at each little pitcher of milk, now empty. She has folded them back into her body as petals of a rose close when the garden stiffens and odors bleed from the sweet, deep throats of the night flower. The moon has nothing to be sad about, staring from her hood of bone. She is used to this sort of thing. Her blacks crackle and drag. And, actually, the last thing I want to read, this is not a poem, but this is the last piece of writing by Hunter S. Thompson. And this is actually his suicide note. And before you think, wow, this is incredibly morbid, I want you just to listen to the words and listen to what he's expressing. There's actually, believe it or not, I don't know, maybe I'm weird. I read this and I find something almost life-affirming about it. There's a real sense that the good doctor lived his life to the fullest while he could. And there was a point in his life where he just felt as if he had no more living to do. And that was when he took his life. So this is the note, obviously, he read before he took his own life in 2004 or 2005. It was sometime in the last decade. So here it is. No more games. No more bombs. No more walking. No more fun. No more swimming. 67. That is 17 years past 50. 17 more than I needed or wanted. Boring. I am always bitchy. No fun for anybody. 67. You are getting greedy. Act your old age. Relax. This won't hurt. Interestingly enough, he actually titled his suicide note, the title that he wrote for it was "Football Season is Over." And Rolling Stone published it a few months after his death, along with a bunch of other writings that had never been seen before. Gosh, now that I've recorded some of these poems, I'm kind of wondering whether or not it's even prudent to upload it to YouTube. I mean, because the thing is that people are going to listen to this and they're going to think, wow, this guy is thinking of offing himself. How depressing and how awful. And the fact of the matter is that I'm actually quite happy. I've got a great life. I've got a career that I feel really strongly about. I'm a homeowner for the first time. Pretty much everything is kind of stacking up as it should. I'm really enjoying all of the blessings that I have in my life. At the same time, I'm the kind of person who has always felt kind of like I don't deserve to be happy. Like when I go through strings of real happiness or real good fortune, I'm always kind of wondering when the other shoe is going to drop. And it's helpful for me at those times to go back and read the words of people who have experienced real pain. If you want to talk about somebody who's experienced pain, I mean, just look at Sylvia Plath. She struggled with depression her entire life, bordering on psychosis. She ended up taking her own life by stuffing her head into an oven and turning on the gas. I mean, if there's ever been somebody who's experienced pain, it's her. Bukowski was so self-destructive. I mean, I can't believe he lived as long as he did. Anyway, kind of going off on a digression here. It's helpful for me to read the words of these writers because it seems to put things in perspective for me. I guess one of the things that I always feel is that even when things are going so well, and I have family, and I have friends in my life, and I have people who love me, I have this propensity to wonder when things are going to turn bad. Even when I have complete companionship, I feel as though I'm alone. And it's helpful to remind myself that solitude, loneliness, pain, these are things that are within my control. If I'm mindful, if I'm aware of my surroundings, if I live my life the best way that I know how, if I put all of myself into my relationships, that I have the power to control my own happiness. I know it sounds really cheesy, but I really reject the notion of fate and predestination. I thoroughly believe that regardless of circumstance, regardless of background, man is the master of his own fate. And that said, even though I know that intellectually, I have this tendency to become very fatalistic in my thinking about the world. It's very easy for me to kind of think that problems are beyond my control and throw my hands up and just wash my hands of life sometimes. And then I have to remind myself that I am master of my own destiny. I have free will. I have the ability to be mindful and to act according to my own ethics and my own beliefs. And that's very empowering and ultimately very life-affirming. So, I don't really know where I was going with that. I didn't really set out to talk about that. I just thought I'd do a little bit of poetry reading, so I hope I haven't totally depressed people out there. Anyway, there's just a couple of readings and a little bit of a ramble, and it's probably the whiskey talking a little bit.